Okay, I think we're online. So good morning and welcome everyone. I'm Gustavo Giacomelli, Communications Manager in EU Projects for Zabala Innovation. I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's webinar entitled Ready for the Innovation Fund. Before we start, a few notes on housekeeping. So our expert panelists will be very happy to answer any of the questions you may have at the end of the session. You can write your questions in the chat box on the GoToWebinar app, and we will do our best to answer all questions. If, however, there are many and we can't answer them all on time, we will follow up with you later on. Please also, if you have a question for a specific presenter, please also include the name. So I think that's yes. The session is also recorded, so we will also receive the recording at the end of the session as well. So all that being said, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Leonardo Casado, Senior Research and Innovation Consultant in the European Division for Zabala Innovation. He will be telling us a little bit about what's new in the Innovation Fund's second open call for large-scale projects. Leonardo, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Gustavo. I would like to share my screen. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes,
yeah.
we can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, first of all, I would like to thank Zabala for giving me the opportunity to participate in this amazing webinar. Also, I would like to thank my colleagues from VITO and from Repsol to get on board today. And finally, thank you very much for all the participants to take your time today to participate in this webinar and also to be interested within this new call of Innovation Fund. Well, first of all, I would like to dedicate a couple of minutes about talking about Zabala Innovation, okay? Well, as you know, Zabala Innovation is a benchmark innovation consultancy firm. Right now, we count with more than 35 years of experience managing innovation, helping managing innovations to our clients. We are a team composed more than 350,000 high qualified consultants, okay, and we count with a vast client portfolio of more than 8,000. This positioning, this solid positioning at the European level, it comes from our presence in key target markets for us, okay? We have 13 offices located in Spain, in France, in Belgium, in UK, and in Colombia, okay? Well, talking about our references in capital letters, right now we are in a process of international expansion from several years ago. And for that reason, we carried out an extra effort in Horizon 2020, and here you can see our results, okay? We are happy to support our clients in submitting more than 900 of proposals in Horizon 2020 program with a success rate of 33%, and also it was translated in a return of our clients in more than 600 million euros, okay? Talking about the topic of today of Innovation Fund, we can say that we learned a lot in the previous small scale call and in the previous large scale call, okay? And this was thanks to our close involvement with our clients, our close collaboration with them. And when we talk about Innovation Fund, we talk about clients like Repsol, Iberdrola, EDF, Enagas, Suez, Capital Energy, Galp, or SKF. Okay, we will continue supporting our clients in Innovation Fund in this new call. That our results you can see on the right side of the screen. Right now, The results are translated in 3 proposals granted in a small scale call. Also 3 proposals selected in phase 1 of the previous large scale call, and also 2 PDAs granted from our clients. Well, I structured the presentation in order to show you the main novelties. Okay, we would like to reinforce the message shared by Sainia in the previous info day last week. Okay, we would like to identify the main headlines and the main trending topics in terms of novelties in the new call. Okay, for that reason, I will start to talk about the call rationale in terms of which are novel here within the new call. Well, after studying carefully all the documents shared by Sainia regarding this new call, we can say that the new one follows the same lines as the previous calls in 2020. Okay, it is true there are some minor modifications, but at the end it follows the same lines. Okay, the call supports the same objectives and spirits. Okay, I can say that the new call will support projects based on highly innovative technologies, sufficiently mature, and with a huge potential of reduced greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, to de-risk the deployment of this kind of projects, the European Commission offers this financial support in terms of grant mainly, in order to attract additional public and private investments here or financial schemes. Okay, the new call, it incorporates some lessons learned from previous calls. This is true, and this is very good right now. And the first one, the first novelty comes from the budget. Okay, just for your information, right now the European Commission increased in 500 million euros the budget for grants in comparison with the previous call of large scale, and there is some modifications in terms of a lower grant for PDAs. Okay, from 8 million euros to 2. This is important to remark. Regarding further novelties, let's say, within the call, the key novelty is the evaluation and our procedure. We're talking about a cascade approach. Then I will go in a further detail about it, but this is a novelty in comparison with the previous large scale call. And there is a minor novelty in terms of the eligibility of the countries. Okay, right now the eligible countries are the EU members, Norway and Iceland, and definitely UK is out of the scope of the call. Okay, there is another novelty regarding the own contributions of the applicants included in their proposals. This is true that the European Commission highlights that there is an incompatibility to include in own contributions the resources coming from national or state aids. Okay, direct state aids that can be support projects or investment with the same nature in comparison with innovation fund. Okay, some deadlines or dates that I would like to highlight. All of you know that the submission deadline is on 3rd of March at 5 p.m. Okay, it is expected the first results coming from or will be communicated from CINEA from at the beginning of September. Okay, and finally the award of the grants, it is expected to be communicated at the beginning of December next year. Okay, more or less following the same time frame in the previous large scale call. Then I would like to talk about the evaluation and our process. Okay, the novelties there. It is based on a cascade approach with the same 5 award criteria in comparison with the previous calls. Okay, I am talking about degree of innovation, project maturity, greenhouse gas avoidance potential, scalability, and cost efficiency. Okay, this way of evaluate the proposals starts from the criteria of degree of innovation. Okay, all the applicants should reach the minimum threshold. This is 3 out of 5 in order to continue with the evaluation process. Okay. The second, let's say, waterhead is project maturity. Okay. The applicant ensures to reach the minimum threshold in each of the 3 sub-criterion. You know, they are technical maturity, financial maturity, and operational maturity. Okay, and or it is important that the scores at least the 50% of the total points. Okay. The third our criterion is greenhouse gas avoidance potential. There is no threshold there, but it's important to not include any manifest error within the calculation of the greenhouse gas emissions avoidance potential. Okay. If within the evaluation this manifest error is identified, the process stops. Okay. The fourth our criterion is scalability. Here we have another threshold. This is 3 out of 5. Okay, it is needed to reach the threshold to continue to carry out the final evaluation of the process, and finally the cost efficiency. You know, if the cost efficiency ratio is higher than 600 euros per tons CO2 equivalent, the project is awarded with 0 points. Okay, this is important to know in order to calculate this ratio. Okay. Another key issue here is that the score of all criteria are the same. Okay, when a criterion has sub-criterion, they are normalized and only obtains the 5 points after the normalization of the sub-criterion. Okay, this is another novelty that you need to know. Well, when I started to read the new call and the information and the documents shared by CENIA, I see a fast analogy with the Squid Game. Okay, you know, probably most of you know about this famous Netflix TV show. Okay, and for that reason there is a clear analogy here from my point of view. Okay, I would like to explain why. Many applicants start the game, a very complex evaluation procedure, okay, starting from the beginning in terms of analyzing the potential of the proposals in terms of the degree of innovation, okay. Then they continue game by game the process as soon as they reach the minimum threshold, okay. If the applicant reaches the final achieve the final game, here this is the cost efficiency, only a few ones will receive the grant, okay. In the case of the game, will receive the money, okay, but only the most robust proposals will be selected to receive the support from the European Commission, okay. Well, to close this block of evaluation on our process, the novelties there, I would like to highlight a couple of the specific novelties, very important. In the previous large-scale call, the process was evaluated in 2 stages. Right now, it's only 1 stage, okay? And there is an important new way to build a ranking of absolute greenhouse gas emissions avoidance potential, okay? First is define the median result for all applicants, and it gets 2.5 points, okay? Second, all other applications are given a score between 0 and 5 according to their absolute emission avoidance potential for the median result. This is a key novelty in comparison with the previous call. Well, regarding proposal preparation, yes, I would like to highlight a few issues, okay? The first one is the annexes. The European Commission shared a couple of new annexes to support the applicants to prepare the proposals. The first one is the Annex E, sector classification. They established new sectors there. It is important to check carefully. And the Annex F to guide the preparation of the work packages, deliverables, milestones, and means of their verification. Okay. There is another novelty when I talk about the applicant's detailed financial model. The reference RC4 in the previous call was optional, right now it's mandatory. Okay, this is an important novelty. The European Commission includes some clarifications regarding the scope of the audit statement on relevant costs. Please check carefully the information there within the call, and the degree of innovation should be focused in a double axis direction. We have to demonstrate the novelty at commercial level and also the novelty at technological level. Okay, this is very important. Closing to the presentation or coming to an end, I would like to highlight, we have key experience there, and we interiorize some lessons learned that we would like to highlight and we would like to share with our community. For that reason, we included there within the practical guide of large-scale projects. We included in this guide some recommendations, some tips in order to face in one way or another the diverse award criteria that I talked about in previous slide. You can click here and download it or go directly to our website. Finally, it's the time to take a decision right now. You have the card behind your door. Okay, if you would like to play the game, just to only have to know that from Zabala side, we can support you. We can support you in compete very well until the end of the project, at the end of the presentation, okay? And for that reason, my colleagues Elena, Victor, Julen, and myself, we will support you with the rest of our colleagues of Zabala in order to prepare robust proposals in this competing call. Okay. In all of my presentations, I used to share the floor to my colleague Bart Simpson in order to ask if there is any questions today, but I prefer today, as Gustavo said before, to share the floor to my colleague Gustavo and respond any questions at the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Leonardo. Yes, as you rightly point out, just for those who've just joined us, please, we will be taking the questions at the end of the session, and you can write these questions down in the appropriate app in the GoToWebinar. I would like to now introduce our next two speakers from VITO, the Flemish Institute for Technology Research. Metin Bulut, who is a business developer and expert in sustainable chemistry, and Ils Morgens, senior researcher in smart energy. They will be explaining to us how to add value to your project. Metin and Ils, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. First question: can everybody see my screen? If my presentation is visible? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Gustavo, for the introduction. So I'm Metin Bulut from VITO, and together with my colleague Ils Morgens, we will show you how we can add value to your project proposal by our VITO services for this ETS Innovation Fund. So we already had some experience in the last call, and it had an added value there according to the submitters. So we can have some added value, and what I will show you first is a short introduction of VITO. And VITO, with just some numbers, figures, we are located in Flanders, Belgium. We have 950 employees from different nationalities. We are very much international. We are also based in, for instance, the Emirates, also Qatar, and also a subsidiary in China, for instance. So very international. We develop technologies from low to high TRL. We generate patents. We have a large group of postdocs and PhDs, and also publish in SCI papers and journals. So much of activities there, but we also have a role as a consultant. So we also do consultancy based on modeling that we do, tools that we have, assessments that we do. So that is also another role to play, and we are also interlinked between the academic world, the industry, and the governmental institutes. We are active in 5 research domains: sustainable energy, chemistry, materials, health, and land use. And this is something that we combine in the services to the outside world. When it deals with CO2 capture and utilization, power to X and the renewable energy transition, we come with an integrated approach. So our services are coming from a point of view of sustainable energy, chemistry, and materials. So we combine them, these insights, and it has it can be an economic assessment. These are also system analysis that we do, life cycle analysis, value chain analysis. So we combine all of these expertise, and we combine it in different aspects. If you look to technologies used in CCU, so on the level of the CO2 capture, point source CO2 capture, but also direct air capture. So we have a lot of expertise here, how to assess these technologies. The different conversion processes and interlinked with the renewable energy transition, not only technology, also system analysis, scenario analysis is very important here. Also expertise in hydrogen production via electrolysis, and also there the benchmark with state-of-the-art or blue hydrogen production. So this is all involved and interlinked with the conversion processes. So the expertise that we have here is for different routes, going to fuels, chemicals, building materials, polymers, and energy carriers in general. And we also look here to the integration of waste heat use and the use of waste raw materials in the conversion process. For instance, in the route towards building material, where, for instance, steel slags or fly ashes can have a value. So just to remember here, it is all integrated economic, environmental, system analysis, and also from different point of views, energy, chemistry, and materials. First, VITO service is the evaluation that we do on the degree of the innovation, the replicability. So we have already done this in the previous call, and it's very much technology focused. We look to industry applications and in the field of CCUS, value chains, and process efficiency. So we start here by defining the innovation always on technology level, process level, the concept, the scenario, and at the end, the value chain. And we compare this with the state of the art, and already said not only the technology, but also the commercial state of the art is used here to compare it. We do already in this exercise some economic and environmental assessments to have some justifications there. And also we do an impact analysis on, for instance, European level. We rank the technology, so the different levels of the innovation according to a set of criteria, to see if it is more than incremental. So for this, we need already some roadmap and context analysis. This is also done and together with looking to other innovations. So we compare also to other innovations, and we put this in a given time scale. So like said, we always couple it to existing roadmaps, roadmaps on different levels, regional or European level. And we perform, we look also in these existing context analysis to prove actually this innovation ranking. Our second service is the techno-economic evaluation, something that we are very well elaborated at VITO, where it is a strong focus on processes, but not only processes, but also the value chain, connecting different processes with each other or unit operations. So you start there from process flow diagrams and also from mass and energy balances to have a look at the capex and opex of such a technology. It is always accompanied by a market study, the market of technology suppliers, the technology itself, but also the product at the end of the value chain that you are producing. And then we perform economical analysis. We look to the cost distributions. We looked to the different categories of cost levels that you have, and we perform at the end a scenario, let's say a sensitivity analysis to identify the most important parameters. Like illustrated here, we do this on different TRL levels. We do this at low TRL level, to effectively steer the research, the development already. But for the ETS Innovation Fund, it is mainly the high TRL technologies that we are assessing here. And also we integrate this as much as possible with a sustainability assessment. So we perform already this techno-economic assessment for the bioeconomy CCU, and this includes CO2 capture, conversion, storage, transport is all included in this assessment, and also for hydrogen production. Another VITO service is the value chain assessment. It is based on tailor-made algorithms where we use data on locations for the supply chain. We are looking where we do a mapping. Where are the sources, for instance? Where can the capture be done? The conversion be done? Do we have intermediate locations? We involve here transport, storage, capacity, but we take also into account, for instance, seasonality. Something that is important when you are looking to the renewable energy production, to the flows. And what we identify is not the operational value chain or the supply chain, but looking to strategies where you would have intermediate, for instance, storage, and how the best connections can be done to see how the impact is on the economics. We take also into account the value chain, CO2 footprint of such a supply chain, and also the circularity. And now I would like to give the floor for my colleague Ilse to talk more about GHG emission avoidance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Metin. Hello, everyone. Yeah, like Leonardo said, we're entering now the third game here, greenhouse gas emission avoidance. And how can VITO help you regarding this one? So for that, let's go back to what is understood under greenhouse gas emission avoidance in the Innovation Fund. On the one hand, we have the absolute greenhouse gas emission avoidance, which is expressed in tons of CO2. And that is the difference between the emissions associated with the project, which applies for the fund, and a reference in absence of the project. And on the other hand, we have the relative greenhouse gas emissions avoidance in percentage. And this one is then the absolute greenhouse gas emission avoidance divided by the emission avoidance of the reference. Next slide. In the Innovation Fund, as also indicated by Leonardo, important award criterion is then the greenhouse gas emission avoidance. And this criterion consists of 3 sub-criteria, which are equally divided over the scoring. It's on the one hand, the absolute and the relative greenhouse gas emission avoidance, as already explained. But a third sub-criterion and of equal importance is the quality of the calculation, including net carbon removal or other greenhouse gas savings. For instance, emissions avoided due to transportation of raw materials or finished products. This net carbon removal can add a scoring of 1 point up in your absolute greenhouse gas emission avoidance even, of course, until the maximum of 5. So in this part, the quality of the calculation, we can add a lot of value. How can we do that? Next slide. Therefore, let's look at this example diagram with the components of the greenhouse gas emissions in a typical Innovation Fund project in an energy intensive industry combined with carbon capture and utilization. Which components to account for in the reference and in the projects? Typical components are the inputs, the processes, including carbon capture, the combustion, end of life of the principal products and the non-principal products. And in the case of carbon capture and utilization, the change to in use has also to be accounted for in the project, of course. Important here is to notice that in many of those components, there will not be a change between project and reference. So then the change to account for in the absolute greenhouse gas emissions is 0. It's only the components where there is a change that you have to account for. For the absolute greenhouse gas emissions, of course, when calculating the relative greenhouse gas emission savings, you will need to account for all the components in your reference in the denominator. Next slide. What can VITO offer then in this process of calculate the greenhouse gas emission avoidance? Here in this slide, we see the different steps, and we can guide the client in those different steps and unburden the client by telling which sources to look for, which data are needed, and so on. The different steps to take are the definition of the project and its boundaries. Which components will we account for and are needed, of course, according to the call and Annex C of the call. The next step then is the classification of the project. Is it a project, an energy intensive industry, like already taken as an example, or carbon capture storage, or a renewable energy technology, energy storage, or even manufacturing of renewable energy technology components, which is also included now. Annex E of the call gives here very good guidance. The next step then is to identify appropriate methodologies for calculating the emissions from each of the components, and also to identify the needed data sources and the needed emission factors and so on from literature. Next step then will be to calculate the absolute and relative greenhouse gas emission avoidance by combining all those informations from the project itself and from literature. And then last but not least, a very important step is completing the supporting calculation tools. These are important to complete carefully because of course, evaluators, they will profit from a transparently completed tool where they find easily information and gives them confidence in your project. The new tools contain added sheets where you can document carefully the assumptions and where traceability of all the information is foreseen. Next slide. Now, how do we do this? How can we can rely for this on our long-standing experience regarding approaches and methodologies which are foreseen here in the Innovation Fund methodology, which also rely on different sources like IPCC guidance, like GRC reports, and BioGrace database, just to name some of the sources which are also included in the documentation of the fund. We have gained a lot of experience in those kind of methodologies by our work on emission inventories and reviewing emission inventories. On the other hand, we can supplement this with long-standing experience related to LCA methodologies for inputs and end of life of products. We have these methodologies for sustainable building materials, innovative energy technologies, CCS and CCU. Next slide. To conclude, VITO as a scientific organization, we rely on high quality standards, and we can count on experts inside and outside our organization on the broad network to help you with these parts of the innovation funds, so we can offer you guidance and expertise in evaluation of the degree of innovation, in defining project maturity, and in calculating the greenhouse gas emission avoidance potential. Thank you.
Many thanks to Ilse and Metin for showing how VITO can really help you to calculate these greenhouse gas emissions and the appropriate methodologies. I see not so many questions yet, but so just again, please remember that you can ask questions that will be addressed at the end of the session in the GoToMeeting app. So to introduce our next speaker now, it's Ana Martinez, a researcher from Repsol's Technology Lab. She will be speaking to us about introducing case studies of the Sun to High and Synergize projects. Ana, the floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you, Gustavo. Thank you. Well, I guess you can see my screen now, right?
We see just
with my screen.
Now we can see your screen. Yes, you just need
okay,
to.
Perfect. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Great.
So, hi everybody. And first of all, I would like to thank Zabala for having invited us and for having invited me to share our successful case on the last Innovation Fund small scale call regarding our technology of photoelectrocatalysis. As Gustavo said, my name is Ana Martinez and I work for Repsol, specifically at the Repsol Technology Lab, which is our R&D&I center, as part of the hydrogen team. Most of you may know our company, but just briefly say that Repsol is a global multi-energy provider, and we were the first energy company to make public our commitment to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. Both focus on our processes and our products. And also we established our intermediate goals to achieve this final goal for 2025, where we are working right now, for 2030 and for 2040. And one of the main pillars to decarbonize our businesses is hydrogen. Currently, we are the main producer and consumer of hydrogen in Spain. And we've recently released our last update on our hydrogen strategy with the figures that you can see on this slide. So for 2025, we plan to have 550 megawatts of renewable hydrogen, and this capacity is going to be increased to 1.9 gigawatts for 2030. We are technology neutral, and for this short to medium term, we have a great focus on biogas, electrolysis, and photoelectrocatalysis, which is the technology that we are developing with our own and proprietary technology, and the one that we presented to the last Innovation Fund small scale call, to the last and the first. So what's this technology about? So just for you to know, the photoelectrocatalysis is a disruptive technology aimed to producing green hydrogen and green oxygen using just water and solar energy. So if we compare this process with the alternative, the alternative of producing green hydrogen from water, which would be the electrolysis, in this alternative process, we will have two energy conversion steps. So first, the renewable power generation, and then the electrolysis itself to break the water molecule into green hydrogen and green oxygen. And these two energy conversion steps are going to be joined by a transport line and power electronics or transformations. It's going to be different if the integration is direct between these two processes or if we are using the grid. But at the end, there are several steps with different losses associated. And the global efficiency of the process, so the solar to hydrogen efficiency, renewable hydrogen efficiency, which means the solar energy that we finally convert into hydrogen is in somehow limited by all these different steps. So instead of this alternative process, what we propose with the photoelectrocatalysis is the direct conversion of the solar energy into hydrogen in just one single step, in just one single device. So at the end, the solar to hydrogen efficiency can be significantly higher than the alternative process. And in fact, we can double the average of the solar to hydrogen efficiency comparing with the alternative. This is a bias-free process, which means that there's no need of any other external electric source. So the process is fed just with solar energy. And because of this, the cost of the hydrogen is not dependent on the cost of electricity nor the cost of natural gas. So these are basically the main advantages of the photoelectrocatalysis. Here you can see the roadmap to commercialization of our own technology. We've been working on this development for almost a decade. We started the development in 2012. And in 2018, we got to a proof of concept with results above the state of the art. And it was when we signed a joint development agreement together with Enagas to continue the development and the scaling up of the technology to the pilot plant phase. This phase we've just finished during this period, during 2021. And we have now a specific design of a photoelectrocatalytic, a PEC cell, PEC module, and the pilot plant. Also, we've worked on the process. We've do the design, the construction, and the validation of the technology under a relevant environment, in a relevant environment. And once the technology has been validated, we've constituted a new company, which is called Sunergize. And this company is going to be in charge to continuing the development and the scaling up of the technology. Currently, we are at the FSD stage, which is our first small-scale deployment. We are carrying the conceptual engineering, and what we've presented to the Innovation Fund Small Scale is the next stages of the project. So the basic engineering, the detail engineering, the construction and startup of the plant, and also the operation for 10 years. In this roadmap, you can see as well, we consider another scaling up for the technology, another scale, which is our first industrial deployment. And with this roadmap to commercialization, we want to achieve the market before 2030. And for any Innovation Fund project, it's very, very important to link the technology with a specific case. Because at the end, you have to calculate the efficiency of the investment to reduce CO2 emissions. In our case, this first small-scale deployment is going to be linked to the application in mobility. So we're going to feed different hydrogen refueling stations, and we're going to use as well the oxygen produced in our refinery processes, since this plant is going to be located in Puerto Llano in the south of Spain, in one of the complexes of Repsol. As I've mentioned, this is what we've presented to the Innovation Fund Small Scale, and it's been a successful project. We've been granted with the maximum amount of the call. And if you're accompanying us in this webinar, I can guess that you're interested on next calls for the Innovation Fund. So just as a final reflection or as a feedback from our experience, I have to say that the Innovation Fund call is a very complex process. And I would just highlight two main points. The first one is that you need to have a very good project, a very good technology, and very well aligned to the call. So the technology has to be at a high TRL, at a pre-commercial scale, or very near to market, because the Innovation Fund is going to be the boost to reach the market. In our case, we have a high level of innovation because we presented a breakthrough technology, and it was very well graded by evaluators. Also, this is a modular technology, and in any case, it has to be easily replicable to answer the spread of the technology. So you have to have a very good technology for presenting to this call, and also a very good business case. In this sense, from our experience, the European Commission is going to request your commitment for all the parts, and also during the negotiation period, that is also a long period for us. It's been approximately 5 months process. We've been requested to audit the capex of our plan, so the business case should be solid and consistent as well. And apart from having a good project, you need to have also a good proposal. And for doing this, we've need time and resources at the end, because the call is very competitive and intensive. There's a lot of documentation, as my colleagues explained before, and there are specific templates that you need to understand properly, and you need to fill in with your specific case. And also is a one-phase call, so there's just one phase to present all the documentation. So in our case, we presented this proposal with Zabala, and they helped us to evaluate the call from an expert view, and also to be agile enough in writing the proposal. So our advice, this is obvious, but the more resources, internal or external, that you can apply to the proposal, the better for increasing the opportunities for success. And that would be all from my side. So thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anna, for those useful insights. So we're approaching the end, but we still have one more speaker. I would like to give the floor to Javier Morentin, who is the Chief Information Officer and product owner of Kaila, a great tool from Zabala, which you can use to optimize your participation in the Innovation Fund call. Javier,
thank you, Gustavo. Well, thanks everybody for participating in the webinar. My name is Javier Morentin. I'm CEO of Zabala, and the idea is I would like to introduce you Kaila, that is a digital open platform launched by Zabala to manage an innovation ecosystem and helping the organization to boost their innovation processes. So where the users of Kaila, the feedback that we received is that the platform is very useful for them, because it allowed them to save a lot of time in building consortium, detecting funding opportunities, identifying other European projects and the best organization in technical areas of their interest. So as you see, the community is growing very quickly with important organization. And the vision that we have with is because the vision that we have with Kaila is to activate a wide community of innovators all along Europe, and the idea is to provide a space where the innovators could identify other innovators to connect with them in order to solve need and interest in common related with innovation. So in order to achieve this vision, we have defined 3 steps that are related with 3 modules of the platform that are going to be released progressively. The first one is Kaila Analytics, that is right now in the market. I'm going to show you in a minute how to use it. And this model provides a capacity to analyze European innovation data in an easy, visual, and efficient way. The second one is Kaila Wise, where the platform will do a specific recommendation about funding opportunity projects and partners related with your personal interest. And this model is going to be launched to the market just today. And the third one is Kaila Connect. And the aim with this model is to cover the last mile and provide the capacity to connect directly with other innovators all around Europe. And this model is foreseen to be launched in the first quarter of the next year. So you can join the community easily for free, and you will be granted for a 7-day trials where you could test all the premium functionalities for free. So once you are logged in the platform, the look is this one. You can easily check. You can easily type and do your search the same way you do the search in internet. That means you don't have to search among closed cloud of terms. I mean, it's very easy, and we have been working a lot in the search engine. And I'm going to show you in a moment very quickly different dimensions where you can see the kind of information we can provide through the platform. So, for instance, if you're looking for in the area dimension for carbon capture use, you could receive an overview of the budgets per year related with your search, in which programs you could find funding opportunities related with this search, and the mix of funding opportunities that are now open for coming and close. And you could analyze each one of them in detail. Here you could see also the number of projects per year with this search, and which countries has been more actively participating with this issue. And you have the relation of more than 200 projects, and here in the right side you could see you have a good overview about the innovation ecosystem related with carbon capture use, where you can analyze the main actors and understand how the innovation ecosystem is behaving. And you can check from a general view. You can also check by level of grant, from a vision of activity, which regions have been more actively participating in this with these issues, the coordinators and the number of projects, and the accumulated fund, and the participants. So very quickly and easily and in a visual way, you will have a good overview about the innovation ecosystem related with your search. If we go to another dimension, for instance, the funding opportunity dimension, and we check about carbon capture storage, you could check about you can easily filter by deadline, status, and program, and type of action, and you can easily check about other funding, the funding opportunities for this issue. And you could see you have obviously the innovation fund, where you have the main data related with the funding opportunity. But you can also check about other complementary funding opportunity that might also be interesting for your project. And you can see, for instance, here I have opened this other one that is open right now. It's cost reduction with CO2 capture. So you can easily check about other funding opportunity, and you will also receive information about potential partners and related projects. So it's very, very useful and interest. If we go to another dimension, for instance, the innovators dimension, and we check about green hydrogen, that is something that might be interesting for you. So here you will have a good overview about the main actors related with this issue all along Europe. You have a relation of the most relevant, and you will also have the capacity to filter them by country or by type of organization, what is very useful for checking for potential partners and so on. And you can do very interesting analysis. For instance, you can check for Fraunhofer, and you will have the segmented view of the activity of Fraunhofer with with green hydrogen. You have the accumulated fund, the mix of projects that they have, in which funding opportunities they are managing to have success, and how the money is entering in time. You can check about the relation of all the projects that have been funded in which they are participating, and you can check the main innovation ecosystem of Fraunhofer related with green hydrogen, and you can check about all the innovators filtered by country, by type of organization. That is very useful. And you also can download a automatically prepared report when you can extract all this information about the projects of Fraunhofer related with green hydrogen by program, by year, by status, and you will have a complete relation of all the main all the projects with a link in Kaila, and the main actors that are participating in these projects with the link in Kaila and the external link, and ordered by number of participants. So it's very useful, and it will allow you to save a lot of time. You can also check about, for instance, if you are interested in research institutions with whom you could collaborate with green hydrogen, so you can easily filter by country. For instance, here I have filtered Belgium research institution, and obviously you can see here VITO, that is one of the main actors related with the issue. So it's very useful for identifying potential partner from and another interesting dimension will be if you check the project dimension here, for instance, if we check about floating offshore wind, so you can easily check all the relation is very interesting from a technological watch point of view, because you can easily map all the main projects that are that have been placed in European programs related with your search, and you can easily filter by open project. Like that, you will have a good short list of projects for preparing your state of art of the project, or identifying good practices that might be very interesting in the moment where you are intend to submit a new proposal. Another interesting dimension is the organization directory, where you can check not only the segmented vision as we did previously of Fraunhofer, but here you can have the complete vision about, for instance, Fraunhofer in spite of the issue. So you can easily check about the accumulate fund, all the programs where they have been where they having success for in terms of fund. And you can check all the relation of the project, and you can have a good overview about the complete innovation ecosystem of Fraunhofer, of more than 13,000 organizations, and filter them by country or by type of organization. That is very useful for the point of view of competitive watch. Another interesting dimension will be the call calendars, where you can download very easily. Here is the complete funding opportunities. Sorry, the complete funding opportunities that are open right now for in spite of the program in Europe, and you can also generate prepare a specific calendar related with your personal interest, for instance, related with green hydrogen. So, and you will be able to have a complete report with all the relation of the funding opportunities that are open right now, with the summary and the detail of each one of them. So you will save a lot of time in terms of preparing report, and you can also download the calendar the same way that I did previously, where you will have a good overview of the main funding opportunities that are open right now, in order to help you planning your effort for submitting a proposal. So and that's all. I will encourage you to just join the community and do the trial for free, and you will have the capacity to use all these functionality that I'm sure that will help you a lot in this in terms of preparing and submitting proposal. Thank you.
Many thanks, Javier. So it's now time for questions and answers. I would like to invite the panelists to switch on their cameras. I have the first question here for VITO. So could you share your experience in greenhouse gas emission calculation for energy-intensive industry projects?
Yes, I think the participant means that for previous projects. So we indeed worked together with an organization on application for energy-intensive industries in frame of the small scale and the large scale call. And for the large scale call, the previous call was in 2 stages, and then in the proposal, in the application we joined there, or where we provided assistance, that one was successful in the first stage, and we are waiting about the second stage, of course.
Thank you. A question now for Anna from Repsol. You have a project based on a disruptive technology, PEC, so-called, and the Innovation Fund seeks pre-commercial projects. Was it difficult to demonstrate project maturity, and how did you do it?
Yes, it is, because at the end, the more disruptive, the less mature. So for us, it's been an exhaustive process. As I've mentioned, it's been very complex for us, not just only the proposal preparation, but also the negotiation with the European Commission. And at this point, we are at a TRL 6, and we've been validated the technology. And our next phase is scaling up. So we've just demonstrated where we are and a consistent plan for achieving with this plan, the pre-commercialization and commercialization of the technology. So you need to explain it very, very good with results. And we've been graded very well with a 5 in the innovation criteria. And also the rest of the criteria has been very well graded, but it's been, I would say, the most difficult part of the proposal.
I see. Thank you, Anna. So we now have a question for Leonardo. So considering the Innovation Fund supports pre-commercial projects, how rigorous do applicants need to be in terms of selecting projects based on breakthrough innovations?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. This is more or less connected with the answer of Anna. I think, as I introduced within my presentation, the key point of the evaluation starts from degree of innovation, and for that reason, the first point when an applicant selects within their investment portfolio which project is aligned with Innovation Fund is the degree of innovation. Okay, for that reason, I think it is quite important to select first of a kind innovations. Okay, the first project based on a disruptive technology or a breakthrough technology. This is the key decision in order to continue with the process, because without a high degree of innovation, as I mentioned before, the evaluation process stops from the beginning and it does not continue. Okay, for that reason, this is the most important part, I think, and only projects based on breakthrough innovation are selected or should be selected within this new call. Okay.
Thank you, Leonardo. Now, a question on Kaila for Javier. Is Kaila only managing European level funding or also country level possibilities?
Okay, thank you for the question. So for the moment, we are focused on in the integration of the main funding opportunities at an European level, but we are analyzing, and we have quite advanced the analysis of the national version of the platform, and our idea is during the next year starting releasing to the market national versions of Kaila. We are focused first on the Spanish market, French, and Italy. That will be the first national versions of the platform that we see.
And a follow-up question on Kaila, actually. Have your clients used Kaila in previous calls? Any notes on their experience?
For me?
The clients. Your clients. Have they used Kaila already in calls like this? Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously. Kaila started as an internal tool and for just generating efficiency in our consultancy European team, and for us has helped us a lot to increase our efficiency in the preparation project. So, and the customers are obviously using them because they save a lot of time for many functionalities, obviously for identifying funding opportunities, identifying partners, but also from a point of view of competitive watch and business development, because there's a lot of information related with this project that can be very useful from this point of view.
Great. Well, I think we are actually 4 minutes over time. I don't see any other questions in the box at the moment. So unless there are any final remarks from the panelists, I think we can close the session. Thank you everybody for participating. I hope it was useful for you. And yes, you will be receiving, in any case, the recording. The session is recorded, so you should be receiving it in due course. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.